The issue with research and how do I reach my audience is very interesting because it's evolved a lot in the 12 years I've been working at the University of Derby. Initially, it was very much a focus on the academic community and working across academic boundaries between institutions, but also within faculty. What's happened recently, and I guess as a result of the government restructuring and austerity measures, is that we're now working much more closely with industry and practitioners, if you like, who have got a real focus on saving money. So our audience has now become partnerships with commercial organisations, with other government bodies, particularly local government. Again, weird evolution has forced local government to come to institutions such as the University of Derby to find solutions to problems that they're struggling to fund. But open access is very important to make the research available to public sector organisations as well as industry. So industry are now playing ball with us and saying, yes, we want to come on board. We're quite happy to give you the intellectual property or whatever you need to publish that material in open access, because we realise that that's the way to market, for want of a better expression. Open access for me was all about working in partnership with the library service here at the University of Derby, because we realised with the open access portal we have, UDORA, that not only could we publish our findings, but we could also do research in ways in which to make the material more readily available to those private sector and, more interestingly, public sector organisations that would have previously paid a lot of money to subscribe to publications. So the links for me are, if we do open access and we realise that publication that way is important, it's working with our knowledge transfer people at the university and working with our knowledge exchange information partners here at the university. There's a lot of resource there, and we need to tap into that resource to actually make our material more credible and still retain, you know, the credibility of what we're trying to achieve with tourism development. Tourism sectors are growing tremendously, even in a recession economy, and it's about them understanding that if they want the skills and capacity and capability in new recruits, then they've got to work with us to see the information available to them in real time. And of course, with traditional publication methods, there's always probably a longer lag between the research being undertaken, completed and published. So there's a sort of an issue there about urgency and immediacy and using our knowledge to disseminate to that wider audience, but doing it in an earlier stage, doing it perhaps a little bit faster than the route to publication through traditional methods. Early career researcher, and I'm sure I was considered one when I first arrived in 2004, is the idea that you do create a research active network about you in your institution. You've got your day job as a tutor, a lecturer, a teacher, a facilitator, if you like. That's evolved in the last 12 years as well. But whilst you're doing your day job, you've got to remember that your work, your prime work, which is the achievement of teaching excellence, has got to be linked to your research. So in many ways it's working with the library staff a bit smarter and realising that with our UDORA system and with open access that this gives you a route to market. There are other media options as well, like Academia, Edu and ResearchGate and all sorts of other things. Kudos has come on the market, and sometimes it's hard to keep up with them all. But you need to keep involved with your fellow researchers within the institution. They will help you with things like, well, in the business faculty we use Research Tracker. They'll help you with UDORA. The library is fantastic with UDORA. You've got to remember that you won't get it right every time when you're lodging your publications, but the library will help correct any flaws and mistakes, like actually you don't have the ability to publish that as open access because the original publisher's got a few restrictions on it. But networks are important, partnerships are important, and then you think outside the institution. You've got to try and sell yourself to industry partners, but also to the academic community outside of the institution. And that's important because with the Research Excellence Framework, you've got to have a wider network. It's great to work with your fellows at the institution, but if you want the impact, you've got to think about your colleagues at the institution also working with partners. So always think about getting hold of somebody outside of the university to work with, to be your mentor, to be a joint researcher. And those are the sort of two main things. I guess the other main thing is to have the confidence to say to your line manager, your head of department, that this work needs to be done. It does inform your teaching. And if it doesn't inform your teaching, I guess you've got to ask the question, why are you doing it, as part of your job as a lecturer in the institution.